This is Caffeine and Coils, and I'm Deanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And I'm Howie.
Yes, we have a very special guest today. Howie, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do if they don't already know the man, the myth, the legend?
Well, it's none of those, okay? So I'm Harold Nelson, a.k.a. Howie, Department Manager for the Warranty and Tech Service Group. Been here for 38 years. Love every minute of it, and glad to be here with you two young ladies.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, we're very excited to have you here.
Yeah.
Dee, what's our hot topic for today?
Well, our hot topic today is we've been talking a lot about, upcoming changes with A2L. We've talked about tools. We've talked about the refrigerant itself. And so today, Howie's going to tell us about what changes in equipment are going to be occurring with the new refrigerant.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of changes, and it's ever evolving also from the standpoint of what EPA, what OSHA, several other agencies are trying to make changes toward the regulations. So it's going to continue changing probably over the next few extra months, that's for sure. One of our biggest changes right now, which is a good change, is that the January 1st of 2025 was really kind of that due date of, okay, no one's not going to be able to install any more R410A. You're not going to be able to sell it. You're not going to be installing it. Well, due to the fact of some changes like this, and with equipment manufacturers, the availability of equipment, what they've done is they went ahead and extended the actual date out 1 full year. So we're going to be able to actually go into January 1st, 2026 before the cutoff actually occurs. So that means it gives the manufacturers extra time to go through their inventory of R410A equipment and also bring in the R454B or the Puron Advanced equipment and to have the proper matches and all available to all of us.
Is anyone already using Puron Advanced or installing equipment with that, or are they still waiting?
Still waiting, at least from the standpoint of Carrier Bryant products, ICP products. We're still waiting. There are field jobs out there right now that are using the actual products, but mainly those are usually like service engineering groups out of India or something like this. They'll have them installed in their homes just for testing and all. And of course, they got instruments all over the equipment, just monitoring it. And then they pull the equipment out and put another piece of equipment back in. But bottom line, I'm not aware of any manufacturer that's actually produced any equipment that is for the field right now.
So when we're talking about equipment and the changes with the refrigerant, what specific components within the equipment is going to be different? Because I know with the flammability, there are certain components that have to be different.
Correct. Yeah. The one thing about the refrigerant is considered mildly flammable. Okay.
And there is no propane in it. We learned that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have learned that there is no propane in it. So
Absolutely.
everybody put that out of your head.
And it's got to be pretty much of a perfect storm, a certain percentage of this and certain percentage of that, where there could be an issue there. But going back to the equipment itself and what's involved with the equipment, the biggest thing is that there's going to be, of course, the sensors that are going to be monitoring for major losses of refrigerant. It's not going to be picking up a 1/4 ounce of loss per year as what we use as electronic leak detector. It's looking for a major loss. Okay. And so basically that's going to be used at the indoor evaporator, whether it's in a fan coil or a furnace coil, either one of the two. And of course with that, because it's got to be tied in or connected to boards, we'll have changes on the boards, whether it may be the air handler board or the actual furnace board itself. Those changes will occur, okay? And so what will happen basically is that if there is a loss, the sensors pick up, we shut down the equipment. We keep the indoor fan running continuously, but we keep the gas valve turned off. We keep the actual system from energizing strip heat if it's a heat pump, and also we keep the outdoor unit off.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the biggest thing right there. The refrigerant lines remain exactly the same, same lengths and like this. So from the installation side, no big deal there. The contactor on the outdoor unit is not going to be explosion proof, but it's going to be a type of contactor that has minimum type of arcing. So when the contacts close or when the contacts open, there'll be minimum arcing from that standpoint.
Okay, that's good to know.
So is there any way, if you have a unit now and that's using 410A, obviously, in the future when the change comes, can you just change out some of these components to make it compatible with 454B?
At this moment, there's not. I'm sure there'll be later on down the road, there will be. The issue is we have a lot of equipment that has, R410A in it right now, mouse, and they're under warranty. So what do we do about those components? Do we just change that entire system? And what EPA is making a change on is that we're going to be able to change components like a coil, okay? That coil is a component. Well, it's rated only for R410A. It's not rated for 454B. So if that coil fails, then EPA is going to allow that as a service part to be pulled out and replaced with the exact same coil going back in.
Okay.
From the standpoint of dropping an outdoor unit on the outside of 454B piece of equipment, that's not going to be allowed because of, again, we got to have sensors that would be monitoring the actual refrigerant itself or refrigerant loss. So we've got to have the proper equipment and the proper controls to make sure that happens and it stays safe.
Okay. I'm just trying to save myself some money in the future.
Sure.
So just swap out those sensors.
Won't happen that way right now. Will it happen in the future? There's a possibility. There has been talk from the carrier folks like this of having some type of daughter board that could be used on some older equipment that you can actually not so much change, but add on to the system itself. But right now, they haven't introduced that to the field at all.
Okay. What about the differences in pressure between 410A and 454B?
So we get a lot of phone calls, and you know the type of phone calls we get from the field. And what happens is that we get the contractors that will call up and says, hey Howie, are these pressures good? Are they bad? We can't really tell them that. But from the difference between R410A and R454B, the differences is going to be very minimum. It's going to be probably 5 to 8 pounds lower than typical R410A pressures. So from the standpoint of the technician and what they see on their gauges, it's going to be very, very close to what they're going to be dealing with day in, day out, whether it may be R410A or R454B equipment itself when they look at the actual pressures. The saturated condensing temperatures and saturated evaporator temperatures, they're going to remain exactly the same. 40 degrees typically for the evaporator coil, 110, 115 degrees for the condenser coil. So that's a good reason why carrier selected and most manufacturers have selected the 454B because there's not going to be a lot of really major changes from the contractor side when they're actually going out there and service it. Yeah, there's going to be some safety things that they have to remember, okay? They got to change some tools and all that kind of stuff. But bottom line, you know, what the technician's going to see while they're checking and troubleshooting the system, it's going to be pretty close to what they're doing right now.
As far as safety, what do you think is the most important thing that you've been telling technicians to be aware of?
I think the biggest thing is having the proper tools. Okay, there are components now or instruments, vacuum pumps, recovery systems, screwdrivers, electronic leak detectors. Everyone's coming out of the woodwork with 454B type devices, okay, or approved, okay, or mildly flammable approved components.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is, again, they're all moving toward such as anything that has an electrical switch that they turn on and off, like a recovery machine or a vacuum pump. They have these non-arc or very low arc type switches like we're using for the contactors. So that's the reason why we're trying to push those technicians to use the proper tools. This is a different refrigerant. There's no doubt about it. We've gone through a lot of, I've been doing this for over 50 years, and we've gone through a bunch of different refrigerants, and the technicians have to make those changes itself, whether it may be a set of gauges or new instruments. And we want to make them safe, okay? It is going to be mildly flammable. We want to stress that. They just can't handle it like any other refrigerant out there that we've been exposed to for all these years. They're going to have to handle this refrigerant safely, no doubt.
Is there a place, I thought that I had heard this somewhere, but is there a place where they can go if they have tools already, they can check to see if it's compatible? Isn't there like I thought it was on the ASHRAE website maybe, where they could like maybe type in the serial, or is it just you would have to reach out to the manufacturer?
Myself, I would reach out to the manufacturer. That's who I would go to first. Now, there are, such as AHRI, they have the availability that you can go out there and search for components that are A2L compatible for safety. But bottom line, I'd go out to the counter. We already have EV Dunbar and those guys coming into us on our update classes, and they're talking about the tools that they have available to us right now. So I would go to the counter and says, okay, what you have. Now, you bring up a good point also, is that, and it hasn't rolled out yet, but we just had a webinar on it from Total Line or RC Components, okay? They now have a book, okay, that actually goes over components that they're going to be selling that are A2L compatible, that we'll be handling. So that would be one of the resources I would probably point them toward too. Once it gets published on this, get it on the web, and we probably want to put that out in a newsletter or something like this, and make sure that everyone is up to date on what they have access to.
Also, I know a lot of the tool manufacturers are starting to put it right directly on the packaging. If it is either certified for A2L, or if it's A2L compliant, or all of those things they're starting to put it directly on the box.
Right.
So they're making it very easy for technicians to be certain that what they're using is safe.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, is that we want to be safe. And the other flip side to it is that a lot of these vendors now, because it's still a new thing, okay, they're wanting to attend our update classes. And so we want to make sure that, such as AJ comes in from EV Dunbar, comes in, we'll give him 30 minutes, sometimes longer if he wants, and then he'll set up a table for all the components that he has available for A2L. So the more we get the vendors come in and support us during our update classes, maybe rollouts during our open houses, that kind of stuff, that's where the technicians need to focus on and move right toward them and say, okay, what's new? Why do I need this? That kind of stuff. Okay. And those guys are the experts. There's no doubt about it. They know their components, their tools, their instruments, no doubt.
Well, will the new equipment come with a charge in it, or?
At this time, everything we've been told is that we will have charged units.
Okay.
In the future, it could be changed. But right now, we'll continue with the amount of charge in the system like we've had with R410A. It will come with residential style equipment. We'll have a charge up to 15 feet line set, and then also the evaporator coil. So anything beyond 15 feet, they'll have to add refrigerant to the system itself. Commercial side, it's a little bit different. Commercial will go up to 25 feet. In some cases, it's just a holding charge. So bottom line, which we preach all the time, and you guys hear about it, is that they need to read the instructions. That comes with the equipment itself. It's going to be in the instructions itself. They can get online, use the RC Mobile Tech app to pull down the equipment information itself. That will give them more details about what's, especially on the refrigerant side, how much refrigerant is in that actual system when they plop it on the ground.
And I'm sure you guys have training classes that are covering all this information right now too that they can sign up for.
Yeah.
We're covering it in our service update classes.
Right.
So be sure to sign up for that. Go to heatcool.com and click on the training tab to get that information.
Yeah. I mean, the more information, and this is not new information. Well, we are updating information just about monthly now. Sometimes even weekly we're getting information from. But we've been talking about the 454B or Puron Advance for close to 2 years now. Mm-hmm. So the more information we get into us, we're going to share it with the contractors. And again, it's to keep them informed, okay, keep them safe, keep their customers safe, but also understand that a lot of what they're going to be doing is the same practices that they've done in the past, whether it may be charging, how to charge the system itself, how to actually troubleshoot the system. Pretty much all those are going to be the same way they've been doing for years and years and years and years. Are there safety procedures that they should be doing a little bit differently than they have in the past? Yeah, they need to be using more nitrogen. They need to sweep the areas. They need to keep their electronic leak detector on to monitor any refrigerant, because if they're cutting components off and replacing a compressor or something like this, they need to make sure that that area is free of any type of, we'll say, high concentration of any type of A2L refrigerant.
Okay.
So with this refrigerant being mildly flammable, and I know any of these are usually have to be DOT stamped and different things like that, what are the rules around having this stuff on your truck?
Okay, a couple of things. First off, for the typical service van itself, if I recall, we can go up to like 440 or 450 pounds on a service truck.
Okay.
That they can carry around, and they don't need any type of placards.
Okay.
Anything beyond that, that's more of like a delivery truck, and they should have placards on their truck and flip them over to flammable type placards that will be on the, that will be displayed from there. But from the service tech standpoint, 3 or 4 drums of refrigerant,
Okay.
no problems
That's
at all.
good to know.
Yeah, this has been something that was passed years ago as a law about, what type of flammable components you can have on your actual service vehicle. And you got to remember, a lot of these service technicians, they carry refrigerant oil, they carry vacuum pump oil, they have oxygen acetylene torch sets, propane torch sets. So they've been carrying flammable type canisters for years and years and years. There's just a little bit different animal, but I think it's 440 pounds is the max, and then beyond that, they're considered, hey, you're going to be delivering refrigerant then.
Okay. And speaking of torches, can you braise with this equipment, or are they recommending like the press fittings, or what's that look like for this?
Right now, it's both.
Okay.
The manufacturers have moved toward taking what we call the bell connections on the evaporator coils, the fan coils, and then also the outdoor units. Now it's just a straight piece of tubing. And what they've done is they've extended that piece of tubing for, I think it's close to 2 inches. I think it's 1.5 inches. So they can put a press connection on there with the tool and press the fitting down. Can they still braze it in? Absolutely, not a problem. But as long as they're doing it safely and like this, there shouldn't be an issue at all with them brazing the system, the connections up. Shouldn't be an issue at all. But again, a lot of it goes back to, just common sense. I mean, this is just common sense stuff.
I think they hear the word flammable and it just immediately makes them a little uneasy. But I think there's not really a whole lot that's going to change. It's just, make good decisions, be safe, and pay attention.
Yeah, you bring a good point too, Jenny, is that the flammable side, again, we want to stress it's mildly flammable, but they don't want to hear mildly, they want to hear flammable.
Yeah.
They can also go on the web. A lot of the refrigerant manufacturers have videos of how this refrigerant, if it does ignite, there's really no energy behind the ignition. It's not like you're igniting propane, like on a gas grill or something like this. The actual energy, when and if you can ever get it to ignite, we've seen enough videos that when the refrigerant actually ignites, it just kind of rolls across a table or across the floor itself. There's no explosion or anything else like that. It just rolls across. Now, again, it's flammable.
Right.
Okay, and can it catch other items on fire? Absolutely. So that's the reason why we really need to stress that, this is mildly flammable. You need to handle it. It's a different animal out there. But again, unless you have certain concentrations of this refrigerant, you're not going to see that explosion occur if you actually have a tube that you cut open and you're going to remove a compressor and you're fitting a new compressor back up and you're brazing it in, you're going to see that ignition. The refrigerant oil is a lot more flammable than the actual refrigerant in most cases.
Interesting.
Yeah. So again, safety comes first. Common sense. We stress a lot, and even going back in the 70s, we were always told cut compressors out with tubing cutters. Don't unsweat the actual tubing off of the compressor connections itself, because again, there's refrigerant in the compressor. There's refrigerant that actually is absorbed into the oil itself. And while you're heating that compressor up, those connections, that can build up pressure again. So what you want to do is, just like we've done in the 70s, do it now in the 2024. Take tubing cutters and take the two connections off, cut them out with the tubing cutters, and then pull the compressor out. It's totally free. Outside, it's easy to work with. Unsweat those connections, put them on the new compressor, plop it down, braze it up, you're ready to go.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's been in the industry for a long time, how is
I'm old?
this, like a really, really long time, how...
Is this an HR thing?
No, I don't think so.
Allie.
So, how is this transition different, or what do you see about it maybe is even the same as other changes that have occurred in the past?
I think the pushback, in all honesty, is we're having them to purchase new tools, new instruments,
Okay.
new
Is
items.
that not, it wasn't that way before with the other
Correct.
change? Okay.
Yeah. Because everything that really the contractors use when they're doing R22, servicing and working on R22, those items we still use right now. The only difference is gauges, and that was for the higher pressures. So from that standpoint, I think it's more of a pushback. You're pushing us to buy more stuff from you now.
Right.
But it's all because of safety. It really is. I mean, if they got digital gauges right now, I would recommend 2 sets of gauges, 410A and A2L. Because again, with digital gauges, you can download the actual refrigerants, because there's other R32, okay? And there's other mildly flammable refrigerants that the technicians may need. So if they're just using analog gauges, that's probably not the best thing right now. I'd use digital gauges, and I'd have a couple of sets from that standpoint. But yes, we are forcing them to buy more stuff from them.
Okay.
Yeah. But the troubleshooting, the startup, all that remains really exactly the same that we've been doing for years and years and years.
All right. Do you have any other questions, Jenny?
I think that's all I've got. I think you answered a lot of our equipment questions as
Yeah.
far as what's going to change and what's that's going to look like with the new refrigerant coming.
Well, the main thing is, watch out for our newsletters, watch out for the actual flyers that are coming out from Tech Service that Mouse puts out. Look at the counters, counter mats, what's on the door, what's hung up somewhere, so they can get into our classes. Because I'm going to change up a little bit on my classes. I'm not saying anyone else will change in the group, but I'm going to do more of FAQs. We've done enough on talking about the refrigerant,
Yeah.
what it's made of, and all that kind of stuff itself. I'm going to talk about more FAQs, just what you guys have brought up about refrigerant lines, the instruments, what happens if we have a failed component. Those are things that I'm going to bring up during the classes itself, because again, they don't want to hear about what type of, this is a blend, okay? They don't care about the blend. No,
Yeah, they just want to know, what am I going to have to do?
Yep.
The
Yeah,
practicality
what's it going
of
to change
it.
for me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sure.
So also, speaking of the newsletter, I'll link it also in the show notes, but if you go to heatcool.com, you can sign up for the newsletter if you're not already receiving it.
And that's a good website.
Yes, it is. Very good website. Whoever put that together did a great job.
Yeah, just amazing.
All right, so I have some questions for you to end the show, as we usually do. We have a little game,
Okay.
some would you rather questions. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
10 minutes.
That's a little more useful. Because what are you going to do with the knowledge of 150 years from now?
Yep.
None of us are going to be here.
Unless I'm going to be here. Yeah, and I doubt it.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear? So would you rather have to sing it or dance to it?
Sing. You don't want to see me dancing. You don't want to hear me, singing either, but you don't want to see me dance.
What about you, Jenny?
I would rather sing, I think. Because I'm always singing anyways. I can't sing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
sound good when I sing,
Yeah.
but I'm
I
always
feel like
singing
dancing is
anyways.
like a little more embarrassing. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for a decade?
Jail.
Oh, yeah, I'm choosing
I can
jail,
handle
too.
jail.
Actually, I wish I could remember. I remember seeing this question about would you rather have to solve a Rubik's Cube to get out of jail, or I can't remember what the other one was, but it was funny. Would you rather have everyone you know be able to read your thoughts, or for everyone you know to have access to your internet history?
Probably internet history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to stay pretty safe on the internet, but my
Yeah.
thoughts I can't control.
But can't you erase your history on the internet?
Yeah, you
I mean,
can.
on Google. Yeah. Yeah. See, I do that
just-
regularly.
You can actually set it up to where it
You know, IT can still see it, though, right?
Right.
On my own personal
Just kidding.
computer.
Would you rather lose your sight or your memories?
Ooh. I'm gonna say sight. I like my memory.
That is the worst question ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose either one of them. I'm terrified of losing my sight.
I already don't have a good memory, so we'll just go with the memories.
I got a good memory.
And I have memories with people that aren't here anymore. So
Speaking of memories, if I ask you to picture an object, can you picture it in your mind? Like if I say picture a red apple, can you picture it? Does it look like if it was sitting right in front of you?
okay, I know
Well,
where
yeah.
you're going with this. So also the one that trips me up, like some people can't see things. You know what else trips me up is when people say that they don't have an inner voice.
Yes.
Like I definitely have an inner voice, and I like talk to myself inside my head all day long.
I
Yeah.
do too. Yeah.
So I can't imagine not having that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that I kind of stress with our service managers is that they're more coaches. And so you really need just what you're talking about. Can you visualize that apple in front of you? We need to visualize, and I tell the guys and ladies that they need to visualize themselves standing or sitting right beside that technician,
Yeah.
in front of that piece of equipment. So I know what this equipment does, okay? I know what it looks like when they open up panels, that kind of stuff. I don't need to see it. I physically do not need to see it at all. I don't need a video of it. I don't need a picture of it. I know it up here, so I can actually tell that technician, I need you to take this meter and hit these 2 points right here and tell me what you have.
Some people are not able to visualize, like it's something to do with how their brain works.
Yeah.
And it affects, the reason why the memories brought it up is because it affects your biographical memory. So you're not able to remember things as well about your own life because you can't really see it in your mind as
Right.
well.
That's
Yeah.
so strange. I wouldn't have thought about that
Yeah.
in that way.
All right, last one. We've asked guests this before, but I'm going to ask you. Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
I give up the internet.
Dude, that's such a hard question.
Because we work in the air conditioning field. I work in the air conditioning field. I want to give it up.
I mean, I don't
I
want
want
to give it
stuff
up
to
either,
break.
but
You're getting ready to retire.
Who said?
I'm just kidding. I know you're never going to retire.
Who said? Y'all hear anything?
I'm going to move somewhere with a nice climate, and I'm going to keep the internet.
Can't get everyone there.
Yeah, I know.
Then it'd be
That's funny.
overcrowded and all. Okay, so I want to ask y'all a question.
Okay.
Okay, just
Oh,
one.
Pop quiz.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you probably I think you've heard this one before because I do it in our plans meeting. You're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Do
Okay.
you put your jelly on top of the peanut butter, or do you put your jelly on the other half
This
of the bread?
is so easy for me because I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich a lot for my son
Okay.
to take for lunch. And so I open 2 slices of bread and lay them next to each other. And I do peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It is too hard to spread something on top of peanut butter. Are you a serial killer, Hallie?
You know what I like though? I like mixed the taste of it being mixed together, but if I want to save a dish, I'll just pour the jelly on top and kind of mix it around on top of the peanut butter on the bread.
So I'm
You pour
very
jelly? Hold
yeah,
on now.
that's weird.
Yeah, I have the squeeze jelly.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's full of chemicals to see. I don't
Yeah,
need that anymore.
the plastic
Everything
and all
that I
this.
love has chemicals in it.
It's
Okay.
plastic and all. It's got all the chemicals in their mouths and all like this. You got to have glass.
Yeah, you gotta have real jelly. But anyways,
Yeah.
go to the farmer's market. It's always better anyways.
As soon as they get on the squeeze bottle train, I'll go to the farmer's market, okay?
I am so weird because I don't like my food to touch. So first off, I don't really like peanut butter that much. So I don't eat peanut butter and jellies. But like anything that's a casserole or something like that, I typically, majority of the time, avoid because I don't really like my food to touch.
Wow. Very interesting.
Bill Doster doesn't like anything touching either. You see how
My man, see?
he'll have
Must be a
broccoli.
sign of a high
anything.
IQ.
Yeah.
I like mixing things. I'll take like a little bit of mashed potatoes on my fork and
And
then a little bit
peas.
of my, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't eat peas,
Disgust.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat.
So this not even talking about air conditioning.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a
That's
little
why the
sidetracked.
people tune in,
Yeah.
because we like to spice things up around here.
Okay, good. All right.
All right,
What
well,
else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks
Really?
for joining
Y'all
us
are
and
easy.
educating
I was kind of
us.
outnumbered, but that's okay.
Well, for the people listening, next time we'll catch you next time you tune in, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.